Hello, I thought I'd share some of the latest features of the Beta.5 version. Firstly, I've done some additions to the scenario manager. You can now go through the scenario simply by double-clicking in the menu here and traverse them as you please. You can also step through them by going forward or backwards, any way that you want. And you can cancel the latest scenario and simply jump fluently to the next without having to finish the scenario itself. So let's go back to 1 here and then turn off the section. So another thing that I've added is an update button. So this means now that I've loaded, let's say, view 1, this is now loaded into the control component. And if, for example, I forgot to set the weather of that exact scenario, I can change it here. And then I can simply update that component. And it will not change the content of the component, only the settings made on the component here. And then I can go into view 2. So you don't have to sort of find the old content of that scenario, but you can simply change the settings on the fly. So let's make this fair and then update that. So this is an easy way to go back to things that you might have forgotten and then set them within that scenario. Cloudy and then update. So now if I go to 0, I should have fair or clear weather. I should have cloudy weather. I should have clear, or sort of in between. The section without anything. The section again. Cloudy. And then the view. And then the section off. And then back to 0. So this is handy, simply to go through them all in a very simple way. For example, let's say you forgot a reference, or you forgot to turn off the grid on all of them, or maybe the time of day is different because you did some changes to them. So this is an easy way to go through them all and make sure that they all align without messing up the content. So those are the scenario thing. If you save the scenario, for example, into a file and open that file within the viewer, let's try that. So let's clear this scene. This is the same scene that I have here that I'll import. This is called export scenario here. So now if you export it up here, this is simply the scenario together with some content. They will appear over here. So these are the same scenarios that I have over here. And I can now, if you saw it over here, you can see that they all have a duration. So this is 5 seconds, so this will trigger for 5 seconds on it, and it will wait for 5 seconds until it triggers the next. And this is asynchronous, so you can actually have an animation that takes 15 seconds, but you can fire the next scenario after 1. So you can have a multitude of scenarios running at the same time. They don't have to finish before you can start the next one. So you simply have an autoplay up here, and this will play them. So this is 5 seconds for the view 0. It will wait, and then go to the next. And then once it will come to the end, it will start over. So it will simply just repeat. So this could be an exhibition, for example, and it will run through these scenarios. And at any time you can escape into it or right-click into it, and you can move around in the scenario. So now it's coming to the end, turning off the section, and then going back to view 1. And as you can see, once it fires a scenario, you can also see the menu is hidden and the mouse is hidden. So it automatically goes into something called a presentation mode. So whenever a scenario is triggered, each viewer that is triggered by that scenario will turn off all the relevant things, so you don't have any cluttering. So this will be easy rather than having the mouse or parts of the menu still there. And then anytime you can escape, and then you can go out, and then you can move around. And then you can go back to autoplay, and it will continue. You can also in here simply click press on your mouse, or on your keyboard, you can press your period or the comma, and this will go through them just like the settings in the scenario manager. So now I'm just simply going through them by clicking my keyboard. This could also be a presentation situation where you go through them a little bit like a PDF, or you can go back and forth between the different scenarios. And at any point you can escape, and then you're back in the scenario. And you can even turn off some of them while you're still in the scenario. One thing I also added, which is not about the scenarios, is that I've added this, and you might have seen this yet. I added the ability to make, let's get rid of all this, to subscribe to parameters. So at any point I can subscribe to a parameter, and in here there's a new menu here. I can create one called parameter 1, for example, and then make that a toggle, and it will appear over here. Let's put that on a panel here. And this is parameter 1, and let's make a slider, call it slider. And then put it in here. And then you can change them here, and then you can start to control Grasshopper from within your viewer. And this could be, for example, to trigger some sort of calculation that will then feed back and send back into the viewers. But the actual calculation is coming from Rhino, for example, Grasshopper, or something that you might have. If you, for example, have another, these are global, the names that you use. So at any point I can go in here, in another viewer here, let's get that without, and then say I'll make something called slider here, and then add a slider. Oh, I need to connect. That slider will then take over. So these are sort of global names. Yes. What else? One thing I also added is the ability to see the VR viewers more precisely. So let's start up a VR view here. And connect. And if I move a little bit further over here, you can see the same. You can see the actual controllers, and you can point and all the stuff that you can do in VR. And this also is reflected in the viewer. This is very difficult for me to showcase, but you can also see it over here. So this is me in front of myself here. Let's move over. So you see the different controllers and how they are being rotated, and you can point. And this all comes out in the control component as well. So let's disconnect that one and just close it. So what else? We also have the ability to let's subscribe to some. Let's get rid of that one. Oh, let's keep that, and then subscribe to some geometry here. And then in this one, let's bring in some, just this one, this weird blob. So let's grab that in and then move it around. So now all these are shared amongst the viewers. So let's start up another viewer. And connect. And these ones are also syncable now. So now they come in as syncable, and then you can immediately start to manipulate them together. And you can see different viewers here. And they even respond to different rotations in space. So they correlate to the views that you're seeing. So this is the Rhino viewer, and this is the other viewer. So we grab them up here. So these are all syncable, and they are also savable. So let's say that now I'm happy with this scene here. I can save it as scene or whatever. Save it here, and then let's clear the scene, and then load it here, and it has all the content that I manipulated. And for all the others, they can simply sync that in, and it will appear in those as well. You can also sync it up here, and you have them back in. Let's just see. I think that is it.